basically, the theory goes that once you get fully into ketosis and you're no longer jonesing for carbs and your body has plenty of fuel, then your hunger level goes down. And I've seen the charts of that hunger hormone, and it rises when you normal meal times, and then it drops again. But then after the third day, it starts to rise less. There's less of that hormone. So that would probably explain why you have less feelings of hunger, but also the fact that you now have plenty of fuel. There's a period there, the first 3 days while you're transitioning over to burning fat, that you probably don't have enough fuel, and so you're feeling really hungry. But then once your body's gets into the mode, then you have plenty of fuel. I mean, if you have fat on your body, you have plenty of fuel. So that's one thing to remember, is that most people report that you feel better after the third day. The other thing I wanted to point out about that is that there's a lot of people report feeling less hunger when they're fasting than when they're eating less. And I often thought that was just silly. I mean, why would that be? But I saw a really good video on YouTube that kind of explained the simple biology of why that would be. So let's just say you are eating less to lose weight. And so you're eating, say, 1,500 calories a day, and you feel hungry. You're really not, say you normally burn, say, 2,000 calories a day, or normally eat 2,000 calories a day and burn that much, then you're not getting enough calories, basically. But because if you're eating normally, like most people do, with a certain amount of carbs and quite a bit of carbs, then your insulin level is relatively high, and insulin tells your body not to burn fat. So you're only getting 1,500 calories a day. Now let's contrast that with somebody that's fasting, and once they get fully into ketosis, that you can burn as much as you want. There's no insulin to speak of in your bloodstream, and so your body is fully and freely using the fat in your cells. And if you need 2,000 calories a day, then that's what it takes out. So you have plenty of calories. So that's why you would have a difference in the hunger level between eating less, even eating 1,500 calories a day, and not eating anything at all, because you're getting 2,000 calories a day. So I thought that was interesting. As an aside, not really relevant to fasting that much, but I just wanted to share it, is that when you're fasting, you're basically running on fat. That's your fuel. Normally, you're probably running on carbohydrates. But while you're fasting, you're running on fat. And I used to think of that as a secondary fuel, as a not as good fuel. Like, I can struggle along with it, but it's really not the best. But then I realized that you can store weeks worth of fat on your body, and you can only store about a day's worth of carbohydrates in your body. Clearly, it's the more important fuel. And your body really has no problem running on fat. It's not like it chugs along. I don't feel like I have a lot of energy, but I think in some ways it's like I'm misinterpreting the sensation. I feel like I don't have any energy, but everything that I try to do, I have plenty of energy for. So it's almost like I'm interpreting this sensation in my body as lack of energy, but it's not actually lack of energy. I probably have plenty of energy. I mean, I've still got fat on my body, and my body can take as much of it out of my fat cells as it wants. So I'm literally not out of energy, but I'm interpreting this sensation as being out of energy. And maybe eventually I'll get used to that and learn that that sensation is something else. It's not being out of energy. Anyway, so fat is not an inferior fuel, and in many ways it is a vastly superior fuel for how much you can store and how long you can run on it, and the effect it has on your brain, producing brain cells and everything else. It's in many ways a superior fuel. And also, I think it's in many ways more natural to be running a lot of your time on fat rather than carbohydrates. Because if you look around, let's go for a walk in a forest, and you look around and you see what you can eat there, what carbohydrates you can eat there, you will find almost nothing. And if you knew a lot about the terrain that you're in, you'd be able to find more, but you wouldn't be able to find very many carbohydrates. They are hard to come by, except, at certain times of the year. When the berries are fruiting, for example. But it is not easy to find carbs in the wild. So, and we did most of our evolving before agriculture by a long shot. So we are very well adapted to not getting very many carbohydrates and not really using carbohydrates as a main fuel. What you just heard was a short excerpt out of a much longer podcast called What's So Great About Fasting? This is Adam Lee Kahn on The Atom Bomb.